Kingdom Advisors equips Christian financial advisors to bring their faith into their practice with the industry-recognized Certified Kingdom Advisor designation. We bring those advisors together with other industry leaders to form a vibrant network. And through that network, we give them the resources, tools, and encouragement they need to serve clients like you, helping you align your values with your financial decisions and investments. To learn more, visit kingdomadvisors.com.
You've heard of the great wealth transfer that's taking place as baby boomers pass away, but did you know that women will inherit the majority of those assets? Hi, I'm Rob West. It's true. The great wealth transfer is really horizontal, with widows inheriting most private wealth before it's passed on to the next generation. Sharon Epps joins us today to talk about how women should prepare. And then it's on to your calls at 800-525-7000. That's 800-525-7000. This is Faith and Finance, biblical wisdom for your financial decisions. Sharon Epps is the president of Kingdom Advisors, and she's been poring over some statistics that are really quite surprising. Sharon, great to have you back.
Thank you, Rob.
So this term, the great wealth transfer, has of course been around for years as the baby boomer generation has aged, but there's really been very little attention paid to preparation of those who will be inheriting the wealth. Wouldn't you agree?
I do. And you might be surprised to learn that women represent the majority of the inheritors because women generally outlive men by 6 or 7 years. So a lot of them, perhaps as high as 70%, will become widows and inherit their deceased husband's share of the couple's assets. And then at the same time, these women have or will likely receive an inheritance from their parents as well. And they're more likely to be working and receive their own paycheck income. That's 3 streams of incoming wealth. So research by the management consulting firm McKinsey & Company suggests that by 2030, which is just 6 years away now, women will have control of 2/3 of the U.S. assets, or $30 trillion, and that's a lot of money.
$30 trillion. Yeah, that is incredible. Well, you've spent a large part of your career, Sharon, counseling women on wise money management and encouraging generosity. I know that's near and dear to your heart. This wealth transfer opportunity offers a significant moment for generosity, doesn't it?
It does. And we've really found that 3 primary factors that lead to a life of generosity are purpose, passion, and plan. The first factor is that a strong sense of purpose guides greater generosity. In fact, in a study by Women Doing Well, women with the highest score on their sense of purpose gave an average of 14% of their income to charity, while those with lowest scores on the scale gave 9%.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Well, if a strong sense of purpose is one factor that leads to more giving, I know you mentioned a couple of others. Unpack those.
Well, among aspiring givers, those are women that would like to give more. Their top 2 challenges are a lack of financial planning and a lack of passion. Almost half of the women had one or the other, both of those. And we talk a lot about the planning part here at Faith and Finance, but what about the passion? Well, passion is a deeply held belief that's so strong it leads us to sacrifice and suffering. When our hearts align with God's heart, we notice what He notices, we love who He loves, and we do as He does. Passion enables us to make giving decisions with courage and conviction. And a quick note, our passion often comes out of our own suffering or pain.
Yeah, and so you can see how tapping into that is really key to unlocking generosity. Now, there's a lot more to women's generosity than just writing a check, of course. So how should women prepare, Sharon, for the responsibility of inherited wealth?
Well, Rob, you won't be surprised to know that it starts with the same foundational truths and spiritual disciplines we teach here at Faith Five for everyone. The top 3 influences are a growing conviction that God owns it all, personal spiritual disciplines of Bible study and prayer, and receiving Bible teaching on stewardship.
So are there differences then in the ways that women give compared to men?
Yes, National Christian Foundation recently released a study that found that women are twice as likely to be participating in collaborative giving. They're more likely to want to work with others to make a bigger impact for the causes they care about. And that means they may not only pool resources, but they also like to strategize together about the best ways to give. They also are seeking more than just a transactional experience when they give. They hope their giving will transform their lives and might become a tool for discipleship within their own families.
Yeah, I love that. Is there any place you could suggest they go to find that community? I mean, perhaps they find it in their church or locally, but organizations that come to mind.
Well, there's several. I would first start with Women Doing Well, as well as Generous Giving and National Christian Foundation.
Excellent. Well, Sharon, we so appreciate your time and energy in this. I know this is something you're passionate about. And folks, if you get connected to these organizations, Women Doing Well, Generous Giving, and others, you can really set yourself up for a lifetime of generous giving. Sharon, thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Sharon is president of Kingdom Advisors. Your calls are next. 800-525-7000. Stick around.
God has entrusted his finances to you, and we at FaithFi have designed our FaithFi app to help you live, give, owe, and grow with that perspective. Our FaithFi app is the leading biblically based finance app. You can manage your money, get top biblical financial resources, and interact with a community of like-minded believers, where you can ask questions, get answers, and share what you're learning. Go to faithfi.com and click the word app to get started.
If the heavy burden of debt is robbing you of freedom and peace of mind, Christian Credit Counselors can help. We're a nationwide nonprofit credit counseling organization that has helped over 300,000 individuals in the last 27 years get out of credit card debt 80% faster while honoring that debt in full. To learn how Christian Credit Counselors can help you, visit ChristianCreditCounselors.org. That's ChristianCreditCounselors.org, or call 800-557-1985.
Well, it's great to have you with us today on Faith and Finance. I'm Rob West. It's time to take your calls and questions today on anything financial. 800-525-7000. We've got lines open. You can call right now. Again, 800-525-7000. All right, we're going to turn the corner, though, today. We want to get into what you're thinking about financially. You know, this is a really important topic. Clearly, it's on the heart of God as we look at the scriptures, more than 2,300 verses on this passage. And our goal is to equip you to make those practical daily decisions in light of biblical wisdom, recognizing that money can compete, if we allow it to, with God for first position in our lives, that we can seek the things of this world to provide satisfaction and satisfy our longing for abundance. And yet we know that the things of this world will always leave us empty, that God is who we were designed for. He is our abundance, and that he should be our ultimate treasure. Money is then a tool to accomplish his purposes. So how do we do that in light of a biblical worldview and given the many practical money-related decisions we have to make every day? Well, that's why we're here. So if you have a question today, we'd love to hear from you about it, whether it's living, giving, owing, or growing God's money. You can call 800-525-7000, and we'll dive into those questions together. Let's head to the phones to Georgia. Hi, Lynn. Go ahead.
Hi. I'm about 75. Well, I am 75 years old. My husband's 78. And I just started thinking about if something were to happen to him. I'm a retired school teacher. And because of that, I put into teacher retirement system. So I would not get any of his Social Security. And that would be about a over $2,000 drop in my income. His postal retirement, I also wouldn't get any. So that ups it to about $3,000. We have two annuities that are flushing out. We're taking the principal out, and that will be $1,100 that will disappear in 4 years, regardless of how long he lives. So I'm looking at like $4,000 drop in my income if something should happen to him. And so I do have teacher retirement money of about $2,800 a month. My Social Security is $662 a month, and I have 403B money, which is about $2,000 a month. But that $4,000 loss is what concerns me. I have gone back to work, and so right now I have about $4,000 that I can save. Yeah, I just need to know where to put that money. I have a money market basically as my savings account, and I've got about $80,000 in that. But and I don't know what to do with that money because I don't need that much available,
Yes.
to withdraw.
Yeah.
I need to, in other words. You understand?
Sure. I sure do. Yes, ma'am. And what is your age, did you say?
75.
Okay, got it. Yeah, so I think the first question is, have you done your budget? So I would kind of mock up a budget for yourself on your own and just say, okay, what would this look like in terms of my monthly expenses if I wasn't working part-time? What would my income be and what would my expenses be? Let me ask a quick just follow-up question before I continue that line of thinking. You said you're getting $2,000 a month from an old 403B. How much is in that?
Oh, I don't have any idea
Okay.
right off the top of my head. I'll get that from my teacher retirement.
Okay. And that's on top of the $2,800 you're getting?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because if you're getting $2,000 a month from that, I would hope there's a good bit in that. I guess what I'm trying to figure out is that money that's going to run out because we're pulling, more than a typical amount. I mean, normally to get $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year, you would want $600,000 in there because 4% a year is a 4% withdrawal rate. That should allow you to pull that $2,000 a month and maintain the principal balance over time, not in any one quarter or a year, but over a 5 or 10 year period. You should be able to make up a 4% withdrawal rate. Even a 5% withdrawal rate, would be manageable, but that would still mean that, you've got $500,000 in that. If it's significantly lower than that, that's okay. You just need to understand that's going to be depleted over time, and we can't count on that being there if you live to 100 or beyond. So we need to understand, whether or not you're pulling an appropriate amount there. And you may want to consider if you've got $4,000 a month in surplus right now because you're continuing to work and obviously your husband's income is there, maybe we stop pulling that out and maybe just let that grow. So step one is, should we be pulling the money out of the 403B? Step two is, what will your budget look like if it's just you? And can we make that work on, you're saying 2,800 plus 662 for Social Security because you've got the windfall elimination, and then another 2,000 a month from the 403B. I mean, we're talking about roughly $5,500. Can you live on $5,500 a month? If you can, great. We're in good shape because on top of that, you've got the $80,000 in liquid savings. If not, or even if you can, we want to continue to build assets while you have disposable income. Do you have a retirement plan available with your current employer?
No, I've gone back to teaching, and I have a small, a part-time church job, which is a 1099 job. So no,
Okay.
I don't have any retirement.
Okay.
With that.
So what you could do is just stick that money in a Roth IRA. As long as you have earned income, you can fund that. You can put in this year $8,000, and you could do the same for your husband, and that would allow you to put $16,000 a year away. And there's no required minimum on that. So that money could just sit in there and keep growing until you need it down the road. So I think the key is let's work on that budget and see. You may find that even with all of his income evaporating after his death, that what you still have available is enough to cover your modest budget, but let's work through that and see if that's true. And then secondly, this is a great opportunity while you're still healthy, continuing to work. You've got this extra income from your husband. Let's sock away as much as you can and get that growing for the future. And probably a couple of Roth IRAs would be a great way to do that. And then you could, take a portion of that $80,000 and invest it as well in a conservative portfolio, but with a small allocation to stocks, maybe the rest in bonds. I'd probably keep somewhere between 6 and 12 months in liquid savings, and then the rest would be available to invest. Does that make sense?
It does. The only word that concerned me was modest budget because I don't want to live on a modest budget.
Okay.
I want to make as much.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah,
what would you think would be realistic just based on what you know your expenses are today? If it was just you, how much would you need every month?
Pretty much exactly what I'm making with him. So I somehow want to replace that $4,000 income. At least $2,000 or $3,000.
Okay, so you think you'd need somewhere around $8,000 or $9,000 a month?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So, I mean, that's really just a function of the math. And so in order to replace $3,000 a month, ideally we'd have about $750,000 in a portfolio because, or 800,000. And so if you're not going to have that, then, you just need to recognize that, okay, if all of a sudden we're pulling 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% a month out of the, or a year out of the account, it's only going to last so long. Eventually we're going to deplete it. And so I think the key for you guys would just be how much can you sock away, for as long as the Lord gives you your health. You've got dual incomes, and you've got plenty of disposable income right now because you got his income, plus you're working on top of your teacher's retirement and Social Security. Let's just take as much as we can there and sock that away, get it invested, and let it grow. The good news is you've got a nice solid base of income, and I think you're headed in the right direction, but I'd probably get with your advisor to help you calculate those numbers. I've got to hit a break. Stay on the line. We'll finish up off the air.
As the leading advocate for the Christian financial industry, Kingdom Advisors serves the public by promoting the integration of a biblical worldview across every aspect of the financial services industry. And we serve a growing network of thousands of Christian financial professionals, equipping and empowering them to carry biblical financial wisdom to their clients, peers, and community. For more information, visit kingdomadvisors.com. That's kingdomadvisors.com.
We are grateful for support from Timothy Plan. Are you unsure if your investments align with your values? Well, for nearly 3 decades, the goal of the Timothy Plan has been to guide clients on a biblically responsible journey with its mutual funds and ETFs. More information is available at timothyplan.com. Investing includes risk, including possible loss of principal. Before investing, carefully consider funds' investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at timothyplan.com. Read carefully before investing. Mutual funds distributed by Timothy Partners Ltd. and ETFs distributed by Foresight Fund Services LLC.
Great to have you with us today on Faith and Finance. We're taking your calls and questions today. We have just 2 lines available, so if you have a question today, we'd love for you to get into the conversation. We'll take as many calls as we can. Let's go back to the phones. To Indiana we go. WGNR. Hi, Greg. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rob. My wife and I had some questions. We both own homes and just trying to figure out when is the best time to sell one, sell both. How to consider which one might be the primary. Just a lot of questions that I know you have several answers that maybe you can clear some of this up.
Okay. I'd be delighted to weigh in. Tell me what you're thinking about.
Well, one home is a rental. I moved out in 2022. If I'm understanding right, I would have to sell it by 2025 to maybe be able to help offset either capital gains, taxes.
Probably you'd have a bit longer. So the way that works is from the date you sell it backwards, you have to have lived in that property as your primary residence for 2 out of the previous 5 years. So from the date you sell it, go back 5 years. And if at any time in that 5-year window, you owned it as your primary residence for 2 of those years, then you would be able to exclude the first $250,000 from capital gains if you file single, and the first $500,000 from capital gains if you file joint.
Does both homes perhaps can we stagger on the sale of those with that capital gains exclusion you're talking about, or is there a time frame like, no, you have to extend the second home would be later before you could resell?
Yes, I see what you're saying. So you're allowed to exclude the gain on the sale of a home once every 2 years. So if you go ahead and take it once, then you've got to wait 2 more years before you'd be able to take it again. And then on the next time you did it, you'd have to be able to qualify on the same rule that you'd go back 5 years from the date of the sale. You'd have to live there as your primary residence for 2 out of those 5, but you can only take that exclusion once every 2 years.
Okay, so let's say if we did sell them both in 1 year, that would work as well and not wait the 2-year period?
No, you would only be able to apply that exclusion to one of them. If you sold 2 properties in the same year and they both qualified where you lived there for 2 out of the previous 5 years, you'd only be able to apply that exclusion to one.
Okay. Well, that definitely, thank you. That was a big question, is one of them that we really wasn't certain on.
Yes, because the underlying, we got married in 2022. So we had primary residences as of 2022. Now, that was our question, because we would like to sell both and get a together home now at this point.
Yeah.
We didn't know if there was any way to claim two primaries, because his was primary for 2 of the last 5 years. Mine was obviously primary for the last 2 of the last 5. So we were looking in probably 2025 to try and sell both.
Yeah, I would check with a CPA on that just to make sure we're not missing anything. But here's the way I suspect that would go down, is that because you're married filing jointly in the year of the sale, you're no longer filing as single taxpayers. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So then you would only be able to claim that exclusion on one property at that time. And so you would likely take the one that had the most capital gain and apply the exclusion there. And then the second one, you'd be responsible for the full capital gain, which for most people is going to fit into a 15% long-term capital gain bracket. And then from that point forward, you could take it again 2 years later, but at that point it wouldn't apply. There may be something I'm missing there, because this is a little unique, where you both, had 2 primary residences, then you got married, and then you're selling them both in 1 year. But I don't think you can apply that $500,000 in gains in the aggregate. I think you have to attach it to one property, but it would be good to check with the CPA on that, because I'm not certain.
Okay, thank you. One other question on the capital gains. Is that on adjusted gross income or taxable income? What do they base your tax bracket for capital gains on?
Yeah, it's on taxable income. So that does include the capital gain as well as other income sources. So that's something to look at, just to make sure you understand, what that capital gain would ultimately be.
Okay.
So basically, it's, to determine the taxable income, it's ordinary income, interest income, dividends, rental and royalty income, capital gains, both short-term and long-term, and then other gains, taxable Social Security benefits, retirement income, alimony. So it's all of that goes into your taxable income. And then you just have to, once you total up your total taxable income, then you would look at, those capital gains brackets. And for 2024, it would change for 2025, but 2024 married filing jointly would be up to $583,750. You'd be in the 15% long-term capital gain bracket.
Okay, thank you.
And when we get the capital, is that something that could just be put in the bank and kind of in the queue to wait to buy another home? Or is there something you have to do with that capital gain?
Yeah, it's a great question there. So no, there is no restriction on what you do with that. The tax that's due, the long-term capital gain, is on the gain, and you're going to pay that based on what bracket you file into. And that has nothing to do with whether you take that money and buy another piece of property, stick it in the stock market, put it under your mattress. That has no bearing on it whatsoever.
Okay.
Well, we appreciate your call today. It sounds like you guys have a few decisions to make, but congratulations. I know it's been a few years, but congratulations on your marriage. Thanks for your call today, and we would love to have you back anytime. Well, folks, we are about out of time today, but I'm so thankful to have you along with us today. And you know what? We're always grateful for your questions and you stopping by. At the end of the day, here's our heart, is that you would be able to manage God's money wisely. I think it was Rick Warren, the author of The Purpose-Driven Life and the pastor, that said there's 2 questions on the final exam when you get to heaven. What did you do with Jesus? That's the most important. And then second, what did you do with what you were given? And that's the part that we deal with here. Once you've surrendered your life and placed your trust in Christ for your salvation, now it's about stewardship of time and talent and treasure, yes, money, and relationships and truth. And we want to help you be that wise and faithful steward of the resources, the money that God has entrusted to you, recognizing it all belongs to Him. And so now the way we're found faithful is to understand His heart, the heart of the Master. The only way we can do that is to look to Scripture. And so each day, our hope and prayers, we can be an encouragement to you in that, give you some practical ideas to think about, remind you of a biblical worldview of money management, looking at everything through the lens of Scripture. Far too few Christians, even Christians today, operate truly out of a biblical worldview in every domain of life. We want to help you get that right in this money area. Doesn't mean we have all the answers, but we know the source does, and that source is God's Word. So hopefully you found something helpful today. Let me say thanks to my team today, Amy, Tahira, Jim, Anthony, and everybody here at FaithFi. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Faith and Finance is provided by FaithFi and listeners like you.